Okay, I'm live on Facebook and YouTube. Okay, I'm just waiting for people to turn up. This is the awkward couple of minutes waiting for everyone to turn up. Okay. No one's here yet. There we go. I got someone turning up. Hello, everyone. I'm just waiting for everyone to turn up. Usually wait. Facebook's slow to get going, but I wait till I get at least 20 or maybe 50 people in here. I got someone on YouTube, got a few in Facebook. Okay. Just waiting. This is one of my it's one of my unscheduled lives. So I just turn up when I can. Plus, I don't have to do this one for as long, so my voice will hold out better. So I've had a cold and my voice has been really struggling. When you talk for a living, it's frustrating when you get a cold. Okay, so I'll just introduce myself. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not new here, welcome back. My name is Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go on the link above, you can see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my boot camp course, or you can look into coaching. There's a wait list for coaching. So you can look into it and you're put into a queue. So, okay, so parenting questions. That's what I'm here for. You can ask away. Hello, Samara. Sorry. It's not a name I'm used to saying. So Samaya. Okay. Talking to someone on YouTube. Okay. So what are your parenting questions? Anywhere from baby to teenagers, from just not wanting to potty train to teen crisis, whatever you want to talk about. I teach parenting. So, and it's not about discipline. I teach leadership parenting. It's about connecting with your kids and getting a really healthy relationship with them. And the discipline is just a tiny part of it. But that's what everyone wants to talk about. So that's usually what we talk about in lives. In coaching, it's mostly about how to connect with your kids. And kids' love language is fun. It's not therapy sessions discussing all their big feelings and big emotions. That I know it's really trendy to do that, but that's for you. That's not for them. They want to have fun. It's the healthiest thing in the world. It's just get on the ground, have fun with your kids. That solves a lot of problems. Do you deal with children from a trauma situation any different? Yes, I do. It depends on what kind of trauma they've had. So yeah, I absolutely do. If there's something that's real, some abuse situation or something really horrible, yes, I do deal with that differently. I need to know what's happened in the past before I can move forward. So that would be coaching if it's trauma. That's not something that I could just generalize. Unless it's not something huge, then you can just get the boot camp course if they're 3 to 12 years old. When my 3-year-old has a tantrum, he grabs onto me and won't let go. Do I just stand there and ignore him, or do I try to walk away? I would just kind of, don't look at him or anything, just kind of go peel him off a little bit, like just kind of, you're not letting him. And if he's getting aggressive, you physically restrain him from getting aggressive. So yeah, I don't do any hugging or anything during a tantrum, because what you're doing, if you hug during a tantrum, you're sending the message that good tantrum. And when they want to be close to you and get a hug during a tantrum, that's not love. That's something else. That's validate me. I'm not getting my own way. Or do you feel sorry for me? It's not love that you're taking away from them. It's just letting them know that you said no and that's it, that they can't get everything they want. Okay. I raise my grandchildren. Good for you. Abuse and neglect. Yeah, that would be coaching. That's coaching. I specialize in teen crisis work, but I've done a lot of younger kids too. So yeah, that would be coaching. But there's a wait list for coaching right now. So you can check into it though. The reason why I never know how many spots I'm going to have open is because oftentimes with clients, they reach a certain point and I say, let's just put the remainder of the sessions on hold until you need me. So oftentimes I have a huge roster of clients, but a lot of them are sort of on hold, especially over the summer. They go away for the holidays. They don't want to talk to me again until school starts up, something like that. So once we've gone through the first 3 sessions, we often do that, especially over summer. So that's why I never know if I'm going to have a spot open. 4-year-old still throwing tantrums and screaming. That's on you. You got to work on your leadership skills. When you're a leader past the age of 4, they generally stop having tantrums. It's usually 3.5 to 4. If they're still having tantrums at 4, it's a bit of a tell. It means that the tantrums are working. You have to be feeding it somehow, or else they wouldn't keep doing it. Kids only do what works past the age of 4. If tantrums don't work, they generally stop having them. I just listened to the How to Get Your Kids to Sleep, and tonight will be our first night. Wish us luck. What do I do when the 3-year-old gets up? I just took you mean the bedtime battles course? If you took the course, you wouldn't be asking me that. Yeah, so I don't know what you're talking about. Because are you referring to something that I didn't teach? Like it sounds like maybe someone else taught you that, and I can't comment on that. If you want to get your kids to bed and keep them there, I do have a bedtime battles course if you're interested. Okay. I've already answered this, but you might not have heard the second part. It's what do you do when kids throw food, like toddlers throw food? So what I always say you do is you pick up the food, throw it away, and you say no. Then you hand feed them. Don't let them have food like in their hands again, so they can throw it. And then I always say, oftentimes they like that. They like being hand fed. So what you do is you get real stupid and slow with it. So if they want to be hand fed and you don't want to hand feed them, you get real slow and stupid. Oops, dropped it. So they're like, and they're waiting. Eventually they'll learn to just feed themselves. So yeah, you just get real stupid and slow. Like you don't even know, how do I get this on a spoon? Get real slow. Yeah. But don't make it obvious. Don't let them know you're doing that on purpose. So I'm scrolling ahead to make sure people are here while I answer. Keeping a 2-year-old in a stroller or cart. Well, the shopping cart's a good example of that. I used a goodie bag with my kids. They had to sit up in the child seat, and every day we went shopping, they had a different, like there was different stuff in there. I had toys, some drawing stuff. I had a drink. I had some snacks. So, but yeah, that's what I did. If they're climbing out, you can strap them in, can't you? I don't quite understand that. So how do you keep them in there? How are they getting out? Oh, try to ignore my 1-year-old. Okay, the ignoring tantrum sort of kicks in at around 16 months. Before that, you use indirect redirection. Hear me out. You redirect them, but you don't make it obvious. Like, here's some candy. You just sort of go over and sit on the floor and start reading their favorite book out loud to yourself. So you are redirecting them, but you're not directly doing it. Do you know what I mean? But you can even do that around 16 months a little bit. But other than then you can start ignoring them around that time, around that age. Oh, God, it's sweaty. I just came in and my hair is all sweaty. Well, my hair is not. I am, and it's sticking to me. My 1-year-old is 19 months. Oh, I see. Okay. 19 months. Yeah, I would ignore tantrums. They'll eventually learn. Okay. You're right there. I don't walk away from them. You make sure you're right there. You're like filing your nails, just waiting for it to end. If it's really a disaster and they're not calming down, they're getting more and more worked up, there's got to be other stuff going on. Do they feel safe with you? Do you play with them a lot? Are you really connected with them? So yeah, it's a whole package. You can't just take one of my bits of advice and expect everything to be beautiful. Like it's kind of a package. It all goes together. So yeah, are you connected with that toddler? Do you play with them a lot? That's a big part of it. And do you yell? Yelling can scare them. So if they have a tantrum and you're ignoring them and you're also a yeller, that might not work. Remember when beer used to come in these bottles? Anyway, it's kombucha. Remember my dad used to drink beer out of a bottle that looked like that? Labatt's or something, I can't remember. Anyway, and there's a picture of me. I was probably about 4 years old. And my dad is on he used to build sailboats, and he's in the boat. And behind the scenes, he's put his beer down. This is all you see is me behind the scenes like this. I got caught by the camera. How do I get my 4-year-old to be okay in other rooms of the house other than the mom? I don't quite understand that. What do they do if you're not in that room? Like, in other words, are they in control? Sounds like it. Yeah. I think they're okay. It's just the fact that you get pulled into the drama. Am I right? Yeah. I'd look into that. Look into the boot camp course. The boot camp course is designed to teach you how to be a leader. It's not going to address that specific issue, but when you're a leader, they generally don't do stuff like that, right? They respect you. We finally got some nice weather here in Vancouver. It's been really miserable. Yesterday was miserable. Okay. Sorry, my back's sore. Where do I find your course? Everything I have is in the link above. If you go on the link, you'll see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can look into coaching. There's a wait list for coaching because I'm busy right now, but you can look into it. And sometimes if I might even take you on today. I know an age that I'm looking for right now. I like to mix up the ages of clients. Because if I have, let's say I have 6 or 7 sessions in a day and they're all teenage crisis work, that's a big day for me. So I do try and mix it up. Okay, husband doesn't think positive action is working. He thinks it should only be a negative consequence. How do I defend that? Yeah, he's completely wrong. You have to give children an option to do the right thing rather than just coming in hard. So you gotta give them that option first. It's just the way it's done. I've been doing this for teaching this for 17 years, and it's about respect. Yeah. Thanks for your page. I think you're doing a good job and appreciate you. Oh, thank you very much, Luann Martinez. I'm almost at 200,000 followers now on Facebook. I think I started here on Facebook in December. So I'm just thrilled that people are following this. I didn't think Facebook was that robust, but yeah, it's gone really well. So I just want to tell you, I really appreciate your following and your support. It means a lot to me. My big platform is TikTok, and my middle one is Instagram. And I'm on YouTube also. I've got 11,000 followers on YouTube now. It's a search engine. It's different from social media. It's a bit of a beast. I'm not too sure how to do that. I don't do any of my stuff. My daughter does everything. She's the behind the scenes. When a 6-year-old tantrums and wants soothing cuddles during, it does that reinforce the tantrum behavior? Yeah, it does. You're saying good tantrum, good tantrum. That's not love that they're looking for. It's validation that they should be pitied. That's all it is. They're feeling sorry for themselves. You do not need to validate that, okay? It's not a love hug that they're after. That's validation. So yeah, don't do it. And then afterwards, when they've stopped having a tantrum and I need a hug, I would go like this. You're all right. Okay, do you want to read a book? Yeah, I don't go into the big pity party. Be careful with that. That's not love. That's different. Do you have advice for how to help a 2.5-year-old who seems to have some social anxiety around new people? Oh, they don't have social anxiety at 2.5 years old. They're just shy. Yeah, just ignore it. Just ignore them. Tell people, just ignore them and they'll get over it. It's when people push themselves on little ones that they get all freaked out. So just say, yeah, just ignore them. They're just not social. They say, isn't it? I used to say whenever someone would apologize to me about their kid making strange and getting all quiet, I'd say, I love that. That's when they're all quiet and we can actually have a conversation. And parents were always offended by that. But yeah, it's great when they make strange because they just sit there looking at you. Yeah, it's once they get comfortable, they're climbing all over you. And yeah, it's chaos. You can't have a conversation. Okay. Yeah, they don't have social anxiety at 2.5. Mainly because they don't socialize. You can challenge me on that if you want. 2.5-year-olds, they don't socialize. So they can't have social anxiety. Socializing really kicks in 3 and 9 months, around there. It's 3 and 9 months really is when they can really socialize. What would you do with a 3-year-old who gets scared, startled, and screams when sudden noises happen, loud or not very loud? I don't know the situation. Is there some kind of trauma, and how do you deal with it? What kind of connection do you have with your 3-year-old? Generally, children who have a leader makes them feel safe and confident. They don't tend to be jittery like that. So work on your leadership skills. That's my base. It might be something else, but that's my gut reaction. Check out my boot camp course. That's all about you and your leadership. That's all it's all about. It's not about your kids. It's all about you. Remember, I teach parenting. I don't teach kidding or teenagering or toddlering. I teach parenting. You set yourself up as a leader and your children will respect you. And everything's just kind of easy after that. Getting respect is hard work. Maintaining it's a piece of cake. So you got to put in the work. I earned this. I worked for this respect. When I was working with kids, I worked my butt off to get respect. And then once you get it, it's just kind of easy street. Once they look up to you and they respect you and they like themselves when they're with you, piece of cake. No trauma, startled when she was an infant. Okay, so you got to work on your leadership skills. It'll give her more confidence. Children who have a leader generally feel safer and more confident. Okay, so yeah, work on your leadership skills. I'll give you a good example of that. Let's say they're afraid of monsters. And like I remember both my kids went through it. I can't remember which one. One of them went through it more than the other, but it was only like one night. Because I said, I guess they'd seen some show or some other kid had said something to them. Oh, there's a monster in my closet. So I said, okay, mom's here. Monsters are terrified of me. So I would say, I'm going to go check everywhere. I go in the closet and I said, oh, I did see a monster in that closet. And whoop, they disappeared when they saw me. They're never coming back because they trusted the fact that I was in charge. I knew what I was doing. So that's what leadership does. It makes them feel safe. So yeah, it might work. I don't know. Makes sense to me that would help. Okay, what time is it? Okay, I've been on here for 15 minutes. I haven't got a lot of time tonight because I've got a bunch of stuff to do still with work. Anyway, so I'm going to hop over to Instagram now. If you want to join me over there, it's Bratbusters Parenting. Otherwise, you can check out the link above and you can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses. I have 4 of those: bedtime battles, toddler tantrums, toddlers who hit, and what's the other one? Oh, potty training. And then you can look at my big boot camp course, 3 to 12 years old. That's all about you and how to get respect in 5 weeks. Or you can look into coaching. There's a wait list for that right now, but I am looking for certain ages right now. So I won't say what it is, but there is a wait list, but I like to mix up the ages of my clients. So anyway, thanks so much for joining me. And I'm hopping over to Instagram and I'm on YouTube the whole time. Happy parenting. Bye now. Oh, I got 4 people watching on YouTube. I'm quite new on YouTube, so. Okay, here we go. Instagram usually picks up. I usually get 150 within 10 seconds. No, 126. Okay, 135. Okay. It's summertime, so everything's a little bit different. Anyway, it's not my regularly scheduled live. Welcome. Wow, I finally caught you a live video. Excellent. Who is this? Dawn Wululu. Wololo. Michigan. Hi, Michigan. You were here yesterday, weren't you? Or the day before, maybe. 2-year-old whines when dad gets home from work when she is okay. I don't know what you mean by that. Like, yeah, they're going to go through a transition period where they might do some whining, but yeah, I don't quite know how to answer that because it's not a real specific question. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. Anyway, if you're new here, welcome. My name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. You can look in the link above. You can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses. I have 4 of them. I just had a hard time remembering them. I was just talking on Facebook. One is bedtime battles, one is tantrum busting, one is potty training, and one is toddlers who hit. Oop, I did it. Anyway, and then I also have my big boot camp course. That's 3 to 12 years old. It's all focused on you and your leadership skills. 3 to 12 years old is when you're at the height of your leadership. All their behavior is a direct result of your parenting, okay? Under the age of 3, they're kind of nuts anyway because they're forming. And then teenagers go a little bit more rogue, but you're still the leader with the big stuff. Okay, anyway, and then coaching. I have a wait list for coaching right now. If I don't get back to you, it's just because I'm busy. So, but you are in a queue, so I'll get to you in turn. Anyway, let's get going with your parenting questions. Okay, how do you get your 2-year-old to stay in bed once you transition to the crib to the toddler bed? Yeah, that's when the bedtime battles course kicks in. Goes from 2 to 8 years old, and they can't be in a crib. They have to be able to get up and wander. So it goes into all that. It's a 2-step process, how to get them in bed, then how to keep them there. That's the hard part, keeping them there. It's a whole system. You can check it out. It's one of my mini courses up in the link above. It's called Bedtime Battles. But yeah, just check that out. Does potty training include nighttime bedwetting? Sort of. Yes and no. Like it's probably going to happen, But there's a few things you can do to hopefully prevent it. But yeah, I'm just going to look at that. I'm going to see what the Q&As are in that one. I don't look at my courses very often. I'm just going to check it out for a second. I just want to see. Actually, I might just write down to check it out. Potty course. There was something else I was thinking. It's the Q&As, as I was wondering what I put in there. Just a second here. Where is it? Potty party. Okay. So I'm just going to look at the course. I just want to find something. Oh yeah, I put down, the question is, can you use pull-ups during the night? Okay, so that is covered. I didn't do it with my kids, but you can if you're worried about that. I would rather them wet the bed and get used to that uncomfortable feeling. But yeah, so it is covered. Yeah, it's in the course. What to do about, oh, you're going to hate my answer. What to do about attitude-related issues. For example, my 2-year-old says, mean mommy, whenever I do something he doesn't like. He's got you wrapped around his little finger because it obviously bothers you. If one of my kids had ever said anything like that to me, I would have gone, whatever. Like, it obviously bothers you. So that's why he does it. He does it. He's manipulating you. Yeah, that's all it is. I just go, whatever. All righty then. Oh, goodness, of course. This is my 3-year-old does something he's not supposed to do, and then he knows what the consequence is, but then says, Mommy, I not do that again before the consequence. I imagine I keep following through. Oh, of course. Oh, of course you do. Yeah, of course you do. You don't give them it's kind of like the countdown issue. It's my absolute least favorite of the 3 I hate. There's 3 common discipline methods that are floating out there that are just ridiculous. One is timeout, can't stand it. The other one is diversion. You never divert with broccoli. You always divert. When they're doing something rotten, you go, here's some candy, and divert. It's a reward, right? And the worst one is the countdown. So you go, you better stop pounding your little sister by the time I count to 3. 1, 2, 3. So they pound harder. So it's the same idea. It's okay to do something bad, but just not more than once or 3 for 3 counts, you see? And when they do something bad, there's got to be a consequence. Yeah, he's got you figured out. He thinks he's going to get away with that. Yeah, I would say, yeah, sure, you don't have to do it again. Here's the consequence for that time you did it. There's got to be lessons in here. It's about lessons. You're teaching your children how to be accountable. You know what's interesting is once they become accountable, they have high self-esteem and pride. They're proud of themselves. They know they're good kids and they're proud of themselves. So give your children pride, right? If they're allowed to get away with doing bad stuff, where's their pride? Where's their self-esteem? It's in the toilet. Oh, this is cute. I've been a career nanny for 16 years, and it's so refreshing to listen to you. You scratch all the itches. I didn't know I did that. Yeah, most people with a lot of experience with kids get what I'm saying. Like, it just makes sense. And I'll tell you a story that's kind of along those lines. Is like, it's not, I tell you what you don't always want to hear, but I tell you what you need to hear. Okay, this is just common sense parenting stuff. It just makes sense. Anyway, years ago, my son had his second to last tantrum. He was 3 years old. We were in the mall. And so he started having a tantrum for no reason I even knew. And so I pulled him off to the side, pulled out my nail file, and I'm just standing there like this. It was a very loud, busy mall, so it wasn't disturbing anyone. But all these new young moms kept coming up to me. Oh, you should give him a hug. Talk about his feelings. I'm like, oh, good. Keep going, keep going. Anyway, but all these grandmothers and moms with older kids kept coming up to me and saying, you know what you're doing. Good for you. I'm like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. So yeah, it's just common sense, right? Okay. So my point is, people with a lot of parenting experience tend to agree. The ones without tend to not agree because they're being fed this pleaser parent style, which makes you feel good about yourself, but it's a disaster for the kids. Okay, it's all about discussing all the big feelings and giving your children participation awards, always trying to make everything easy for them. You're raising self-entitled snowflakes with mental health issues. Those are those woke victims. You know what I'm talking about. That's what you're raising if you're following the pleaser parent style. It's a disaster. good for my business because when kids get a bit older, parents realize it's not working, then they hire me. But I'd rather you not have to do that. I'd rather you just start it off right. Like I get a lot of parents with babies and toddlers, and we don't use the behavior board at that point, but I'm just sort of setting them up. We're building the base of so that by the time the kids turn 3, then they, there's a fork in the road at 3. If you've been a leader, then they get really easy. If you haven't been a leader, they tend to find their own power. Some kids are just easy anyway, but generally, that's the fork in the road, 3 years old. So I'm building this base for the parents to try and set them up. And with toddlers in that, it's more about managing the environment and being super consistent with structure and routines. Toddlers and babies do not understand exceptions. Like sometimes we can eat at the coffee table. Sometimes we can eat at the dinner table. If you see what I mean, they don't understand that. So you always sit them up in a high chair and eat at the table. Just stuff like that. They don't understand inconsistencies or exceptions. So yeah, we're setting you up for success down the road. But the thing with toddlers too is that they're a slow burn. If you want to teach them something, you use consistent corrective actions, not words, not those mini therapy sessions. They're garbage. You use consistent corrective actions. They won't learn the first 10 times. Might take 50 times, but they will eventually learn. Pardon me. I'm getting over that cold finally. Oh, thanks so much, Queen Alexandria. You said, I love you so much. I stumbled across your page a few months ago and I just love your content. Excellent. I have no filter system. I always say my brain and my mouth have no relationship whatsoever. There's no filter at all. I just say what I'm thinking, and I'm really confident in what I'm saying because I've been saying it for so many years. But yeah, people aren't always going to like what I'm saying. But I'm saying what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. I'm not here to get to be liked or anything. I'm here so that you will enjoy parenting. I want you to have as much fun as I did parenting. It was a blast. I got all that leadership and stuff all cemented when they were little and then sailed right through the teen years. We just had a blast. It was the most fun I ever had. I want that for you. I want you to have as much fun parenting as I did. I've got a grandchild now. It's not the same. Not at all. I love her, but I have to hand her back. What fun is that? Yeah, she's someone else's kid. Grandparents say, oh, the best part is you get to hand them back. That's the worst part. I loved parenting. That was the best part is I didn't have to hand them back to anybody. Anyway, that's just my take on it. Okay. So I'm skipping ahead to make sure you're here while I'm answering. I'm constantly telling people now, you've got to be a leader. Yeah, excellent. Leadership it's not about the old-fashioned authority. It's certainly not the pleaser. If anything, it would be closer to the old-fashioned authority because children feel safe. They don't feel safe with a pleaser. A pleaser is a disaster. Yeah, so they feel safe, but it's not the old-fashioned authority. It's more about connecting and bonding with your kids, and you do that in their world, not your world. Okay, it's all about them and entering their world when you want to connect with them. And they just start to look at you differently. And the whole goal with leadership parenting is to make your kids feel good about themselves. And not because you're telling them they're wonderful, but because you're raising children who make good choices and they have pride in themselves because they know they're good kids. They know they're nice, right? Kids who are allowed to act out have very low self-esteem. So that you're not doing your kids any favor by giving into everything. It's the exact opposite, actually. Their self-esteem's in the toilet. You look at a kid who's wiping their feet all over their parents. Do they look happy? Do they look like they like themselves? No, it's a disaster. So yeah, a leader brings out the best in children. That's the pool story. Okay, look that up. It's the very first video here on Instagram and on TikTok. I don't know about Facebook. I don't do my social media, but I did pin it on Instagram. I figured out by myself how to pin it on Instagram and TikTok, and it's called Example of Leadership Parenting, and it's the pool story. It sums up how I feel about how you should treat children. I don't let anything go. I deal with bad behavior fast, get it done, and then you bring out the best in them. Then you focus on the good kid. Where you put your focus, where you put your energy is what grows. If you're always focusing on what they're doing wrong, it's going to grow. If you're focusing on dealing with bad behavior, then focusing on the good kid, you're going to get the good kid. Okay? I have a hard time finding appropriate consequences. What do I do for my 5 and 3-year-old who hit? I have a behavior board, which is completely free up above, where you can look at the boot camp course. That's just the next level up. And don't worry too much about the consequences. You can just write down, do a chore within 15 minutes of being asked to do so. If they won't do that, then 24 hours of media blackout, something like that. The consequence doesn't really matter so long as there is one and it's consistent. Okay, you make sure that you follow through with that. Everyone thinks that the consequence is the key. If I get just that perfect consequence, it'll solve all my problems. It has nothing to do with it. It's your consistency, right? That's everything. How do you gain leadership? Just keep watching me. It's all I teach here is leadership parenting. Have you ever had a mentor, a teacher, a coach that you looked up to, someone that made you feel great about yourself and got the best out of you? That's what this is like. It's the most similar relationship I can think of. It's nothing like teaching. It's more like a coach. They're like a buddy, but they have rules. There's rules to the game. If you don't follow the rules or you try and cheat, you sit on the bench for an inning. Then they bring you back in. They're rubbing your shoulders. Okay, you can do it. That's what this is all about. It's about bringing out the best in kids. When they look up to you, would they ever be rude to you? Doesn't make any sense, does it? It makes no sense at all. So yeah, once they look up to you because you make them feel good about themselves, then they treat you with respect. That's how this works. Getting respect is hard work. I understand that. I mean, I do this every day with parents. This is hard work, getting it. Once you've got it, piece of cake. Maintaining respect is easy. Getting it is hard work. I earned it. I had to figure all this out all by myself. I was 11 years old and I was volunteering in daycare centers. I figured it out then. And then I started babysitting. I became the prized babysitter in the whole neighborhood. There were like streets and blocks away would hire me because I was good with difficult kids. And I was like young. I just always kind of had this in me and I figured it out. That, I don't let anything go. I deal with bad behavior, but then I focus on the good kid. And their love language is fun. I was good at being fun with kids. Sorry, I've got to scroll ahead to make sure people are here because there's only like 159 people here, but people come and go. So I get like 1,000 or 2,000 people in the thing, but they come and go. So I want to make sure you're here when I answer your question. That's why I scroll through so many, and I get a lot of them, so I can't answer them all. 2-year-old hits toys, floor, self, the table. Okay, when they get violent or aggressive, when they're having a tantrum or when they're angry, you physically restrain them. Okay, just hold on to them for a minute, let them go. If they keep going, say no and grab them again. You don't look at them or talk to them though. You just say one word, no, and you physically restrain them. Just for a minute or two, let them go. If they go again, then grab them again. You got to keep, if they're hurting themselves, hurting someone else, or damaging property, you physically restrain them. Except if they're teenagers or big. You don't worry about property, but you worry about them damaging themselves or other people. But you don't worry about property when they're big, because that can be ugly. Recently separated from my partner. How do I handle the transition with the ages 8, 5, 2? Now, so there's two different questions here. How do you handle a transition when you split up? That's one question. Then you said they're hitting, not listening, talking back. That has nothing to do with the separation. Nothing. We separated. The kids were the same because we always got along. That's the thing. We never fought before or after. They never saw anything like that. So we were always on the same page. So those are two completely unrelated issues. Okay. So yeah, if you want your kids to listen to you, you got to listen to them, by the way. It's mutual. You give respect to get it. Check out the boot camp course. And I always say, you love your kids more than you hate each other. Just make sure you're on the same parenting page. So yeah, our kids just didn't go through that with us because we just always got along. We still went everywhere together with the kids. Like, if you can manage that, that's the best thing to do. They could give a hoot if you're together. They don't care if you hate each other. They just don't. All they care about is that you get along and you're there for them. That's it. Yeah. How close to 3 would you start the behavior board? Right at 36 months? It can be 33, 34, but 36 it's almost early to start at 36 months. But yeah, you can try it. I did have a person going through the boot camp course with me. I did a group coaching series just to put it on the course. It's on there now. I'm not doing it again. But it was a whole series where I was doing group coaching throughout the course. And this one mom, she said, she tried it on her own 6 months early and disaster. It didn't work at all. And then she tried it at 3 and she said, yeah, it was different. So 3 is when the frontal lobe is starting to develop. It means they can stop and think before they act. Doesn't mean they will, but it means they can start to stop and think before they act. They can start to develop impulse control. Toddlers do not do naughty things because they don't understand. They know right from wrong. They learn that like that. They do it because they don't have any impulse control. They do the bad thing because they want to do it. That's all. Okay. They learn through consistent corrective actions. So understanding does not stop a toddler from doing something bad. It doesn't mean anything to them. I want to do it, so I'm going to do it. Okay, let me see. Yeah, I wasn't gonna read this out, but I will. 2-year-old keeps running on the couch when I say no. I can't remove the couch. Like I always say, childproof your home. You can't remove the couch, but every time they run on the couch, you say no. And then I would say, I'm gonna put your toy away now. And you put the toy away. So make sure there's a negative reaction. Every time he runs on the couch, you pull him off gently, right? You say no, and then you take his favorite toy and put it away. You got to be fast though. He's got to connect the two. Running on couch, I lose a favorite toy. There's other methods too. That's just the one that comes to mind right now. My children are 10 and 14. Do I still have time to become a leader? This is on YouTube. Yeah, I specialize in teenagers. It's more work. It takes time. And the work continues long after we finish coaching. I give you the tools and I show you how to do it. And hopefully we'll make some progress during coaching, but you got to keep going with it. It's never too late. When they get about 18, 19, it can get very difficult. So they have to be living with you and financially dependent upon you. Once they're 18, if they've got a full-time job, and it's a little bit harder. So teenagers are my favorite age. I specialize in teen crisis work, so it's never too late. I would never work with teenagers if I thought it was too late. Like I just wouldn't do it. Why would I do that? That I used to mentor troubled teenagers, and that's where I learned most of what I teach is from them. They taught me a lot about patience, understanding, being very open-minded, looking at things differently, because we all tend to be, set in our ways and think that we're right. But they taught me a lot about being open-minded and patient, and Okay, your advice has helped me so much. It's always a treat to catch you live. Oh, thanks so much for that, Jen. I appreciate that. Do I allow my 4-year-old to continue to throw his tantrum even if it lasts a long time? Okay. Yeah. You can be going about your business though, but don't look on a phone. I think that's rude and dismissive. Also, don't get into conversations. So if he's having a tantrum and it keeps going and going and going, by the way, they only have tantrums to get attention because they never do it when they're alone. It's always around you. It's a drama. It's a look at me, drama. Anyway, so if it keeps going, by the way, by the age of 4, they usually stop having them. It means it must work. You must be getting upset. So I'd be doing the dishes, and if he's still having a tantrum, I might go like this and look near him, but maybe not at him. I might go like this. Oh, like in other words, you're still going. So it's important that he knows he's doing that, but that you're obviously not the least bit fazed by it. In other words, that's not working. You might want to check out the boot camp course because it means he doesn't respect you. If he's 4 years old and still having tantrums, you got to work on your leadership skills. They generally stop. They only do what works past the age of 4. So it must work. You must be feeding it somehow. Any attention is tantrum food. Any attention, eye contact, words, you can touch them to restrain them from getting hurt when they're having a tantrum, and you still don't look at them or talk to them. Any attention is fertilizing a tantrum, making it grow, because a tantrum is done to get attention. If you give attention, it works, right? A tantrum is only done to get attention. So why would you feed that? What if they laugh at you when you restrain them? So what difference does that make? Why does that matter? Yeah, don't react to them. You want them reacting to you. A leader does not react to this stuff. You deal with it, but yeah, you're reacting. You're giving him a lot of power. But he's laughing at me, so he can laugh all he wants. I could care less. I still wouldn't look at him or talk to him. Yeah, he's trying to manipulate you. He's going like this. He's pulling you in, and he knows it. Ever any deals on the boot camp? I had a Mother's Day sale a couple of weeks ago. Whenever Mother's Day was. Nothing right now. Oops, what time is it? I got to go over to TikTok now. If you want to join me over there, it's Bratbusters Parenting. If not, check out the link above. You can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses. I have 4 of them. Bedtime battles, sugar, I always forget. Tantrum busting, toddlers who hit, and Potty training, potty party. Why is that so hard for me to remember? Anyway, and then you can look at my big boot camp course, goes from 3 to 12 years old. And then coaching teenagers, I don't have anything for teenagers other than coaching. And coaching can be for any age, but there is a wait list because I can't take everyone on these days, but I do mix up the ages. So even though I have a wait list, I don't always take you in order. I take you in like, I pick the ages. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. And I'm hopping over to TikTok. I'm on YouTube the whole time. Happy parenting. Yeah. Not my fault. TikTok starts ads now when you go on there. There we go. Okay. Is there a wait list for coaching? Thank you. They do live with me. Oh, is that a grandmother? Oh, wait a minute. Ashley, is there a wait list for coaching? Yeah, there is a wait list for coaching. If you're in crisis though, and you want coaching, put down crisis. I take, you get priority. My past clients are top priority and crisis clients are second. So yeah, if you're really, really struggling, and you won't get results for at least 2 or 3 weeks with teenagers, at least maybe closer to 4. We're building trust, respect, right? Before you start. We don't even address what you want for the first 2 weeks, usually with teenagers. You understand once we get going, but it can be frustrating for parents, but I say it's just the process. It's the way it's done. You got to build a connection first. You got to work on yourself and your relationship with your teenager before we even get into their behavior. It's impossible to deal with a teenager's behavior until you've built up your relationship with them. So I've got to, never mind. I'm talking to someone on YouTube, by the way. Okay. Welcome if you're new. Welcome back if you're not new. You can check out the link above. My name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. In the link, you can see my free behavior board, my 4 mini toddler courses. One's on tantrums, potty training, bedtime, and toddlers who hit. Or you can look into my big boot camp course that goes for 5 weeks. It's all about you and teaching you how to be a leader for your children, 3 to 12 years old. Or you can sign up for coaching or look into it. You go into a wait list. So, because I'm really busy these days, but you can go into a wait list and we'll go from there. Anyway. Okay, so thanks so much for turning up. Woo, caught you live. Hi, Selena. Welcome. Okay. How to work with a toddler who constantly, work with a toddler? If you're not a parent, I don't discuss that. I don't know anything about teaching, or a huge portion of my clients are teachers, principals, and child psychologists, which is just proof that they're very different roles. Okay, I couldn't do their job and they struggle with parenting. Parenting is my lane. That's all I talk about. So yeah. I wouldn't have a clue how to teach. Wouldn't have a clue. It's funny because when I spent hundreds of hours, if not thousands of hours, sitting in classrooms supporting teachers, sitting with the challenging kids, right? And I often look at the teachers and I just think, God, I couldn't do that. Like, I just couldn't do it. I don't have what it takes. I'm one-on-one connecting with kids. To have to manage 30 kids in a class. Oh, I don't know how they do it. Okay. Best way to help 14-year-old boy gain more confidence. I'll tell you why that's very hard to do. The stronger your relationship, the better off they are. Okay, it builds resilience. It helps them to suffer through anything that they're going through. Unfortunately, at teenage years, their confidence comes from their peers. Sorry about that. So yeah, but you can still build a lot of high self-esteem, and they feel safe with you. They'll tell you everything. So you can keep them mentally healthy. But confidence, social confidence, comes from socializing with peers. It's kind of just the way it is. Does it make sense though? Yeah. Sorry about that, but yeah. But you can still build them up by, strengthening your relationship with them. Why won't my 4-year-old son listen to any instruction? Because he doesn't respect you. Work on your leadership skills and he will. So you got to earn that respect. It's not handed to you on a silver platter. You got to work for it. You got to earn it. I worked my butt off to get respect with kids. I've worked with hundreds of kids and I worked for it. I'll tell you, I earned it. And yeah, I really put in a lot of work to get that respect. And when I was working with troubled teens, I'll tell you, I worked up a sweat getting their respect. But I did it. How do I earn it? Just keep watching me. You can check out, if you have a child 3 to 12 years old, the boot camp course teaches you how to do that. It's a course, 5 weeks, and it's got pretty much everything all the general information that I have for 3 to 12 years old parenting. If it's something outside the box, like trauma, abuse, whatever, then that would be coaching one-on-one with me. But all the standard parenting stuff is in that boot camp course. I've been coaching now for 17 years, and I've paced out that course according to how I work with my clients. So coaching is quite different because it's personal. So I do mix things up a lot. We go at different paces depending on how they're doing. But I've set it out for the majority of my clients that would work for them. So anyway, that's the boot camp course. Okay. I completely appreciate your advice. You've been so helpful. Thanks so much. I really appreciate that. I've been doing this for so many years now, and I've had rough times in my business. It's gone up and down, and it's been really difficult at times. And I just always believed in it. I never gave up. I really believe in my message because I know how much I have helped people, my clients, and I know how much fun I had parenting. And I want that for everybody. When you really believe in something, you'll never give up. So things are going great now. I've got my daughter working for me now, and not for me, she works with me very much so. Someone said the other day, because she handles all my marketing and all my social media and all my newsletters. That's her. She does all that, all my videos. That's her. Anyway, one of my clients said, well, what if she does something you don't like? And I said, I don't even know what she does. I haven't got a clue. We do not, there's no crossover in what we do. She just takes my lives and turns them into videos and goes from there. She does all the planning, all the marketing. But it was just struck me as funny when they said, well, what if she does something you don't like? I wouldn't have a clue what she even does. It's like she's got her own business. I got my own business. They just happen to be Bratbusters. But completely different roles. Couldn't be more perfect a relationship. That's great. I feel like I'm losing myself. If I had a dime for every time I was going to say a dollar, but I should have said $1. If I had $1 for every time a parent said that to me, I would be very wealthy. Yeah, you feel like you're losing yourself just because you don't have a plan. You don't have a plan of action to move forward. If for free, you can get my behavior board. Check that out. It might help you. If they're 3 and over, you can use that. Otherwise, look at my boot camp course. It's a plan. It's a system. It's a method. Gives you something to focus on, how to move forward. Okay. And it starts slow, by the way. It's not like you dive in right away. You start slow. It's like wading into the ocean. You go up to your knees, then up to your thighs. I'm the biggest wuss. You know how people just dive into water? I'm not like that. I'm standing on my tippy toes trying to get in. Well, that's sort of like the boot camp course. I'm taking you in nice and slow. What's the best way to prepare my 3.5-year-old for school? He's never been to daycare or a sitter. Okay. So what you do is wherever he's going to school, go there when it's not open and see if there's a playground. You can play around there. You can look at it. And here's the gate. And here's that. Drive there just like you're going to school with his backpack on. So then he'll drop you off and be prepared. He's going to cry. He's going to have a fit. That's okay. They're used to it. They see it all the time. It's usually about 3 weeks before they settle in. And also the best way to deal with that is when they start to get upset, you make the goodbyes and the hellos very quick. No big deal. So when you drop him off and he's crying, say, I'll see you later. You always go like that. Don't say, oh, I love you. I'm my angel, my precious. You'll make it worse. So make the goodbye, like dump and run, basically. But always end with that, see you later. I'll pick you up at 3. See you later. And then just walk off. Then you go and do what I did. Go in the parking lot and cry in your car. It was funny. I did that with one of my kids. And I was crying in the car because my kid was crying and I was all upset. But I didn't let them see it. And I said, you're all right. Go ahead. See you later. And then I go in the car. And I looked over. There was another mom crying. And we got eye contact and just started laughing. Anyway, I think we went out for coffee. Can you talk a little about gender identify for 5-year-old? I don't quite know what you mean by that. So there's like gender confusion going on. They don't know if they're a girl or a boy, or does it matter? I'm really all for that. You just go whatever they want, right? They say, a boy says, can I wear a dress? Say, sure. I would not encourage them wearing a dress out in public, though. People can be mean. But at home, say, you can be whatever you want. Never shame a child for not being the norm. You say, sure, you can be sometimes. I always told my kids this. If you're growing up, when you get a crush on someone, you get all excited. That might be a boy. It might be a girl. It doesn't matter. You always tell me. There's nothing wrong with it. Crush, it doesn't matter who you have. So make it all normalized, but I wouldn't let them dress up. I wouldn't let a little boy dress up in a dress in public. Unless, like in my city, yeah, you could do it. Big city. But if it's a small town, perhaps they're a little bit less understanding sometimes. I'd be careful about that. But yeah. My only boy play with girl stuff. Yeah. So does it matter? Is it a bad thing? I'm not. I used to pray that my kids weren't going to be gay or anything, just because I was terrified about what other people would say to them. But I always told them, if you are, that's great. We'll work through it. It'll all be good, right? But yeah, I was always, you want your kids to fit in, right? But you also don't want them to think that they have to. Does that make any sense? Does that make any sense? It did to me. It did until I said it. And then I thought, did that make any sense? Yeah. I let them wear dress, but at home. Yeah. By the way, if they do have gender issues, they usually know from a very young age. So yeah. And they'll tell you. Yeah, I love them no matter what. Who cares what they are, right? Well, you don't care. You just don't want other people to be mean. That's the problem. But like I said, it depends what city you're in, if it's progressive or not. Okay, what time is it? Oh, if you want to go on the wait list for coaching, you have to go on my website. Go in the link in my description, or it'll lead you through. There's actually an intake form. So you have to put the ages of your kids and all that stuff. And I'll get back to you when I've got time, like when I can take someone on. Or I might have to ask you questions about, sometimes I need to ask further questions. Or sometimes I'll just try and guide you to the boot camp course. Or like sometimes I'll guide you away from me. Like if it's something like, what was it the other day? I think it was drug addiction or something. Yeah. I will work with the parents who have a child with drug addiction, but they have to be in some other program too. That's a different thing. That's a medical issue. Okay, what time is it? Actually, I have to get going because I got a whole bunch of work I got to get done. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. If you check out the link above, you can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses. I have 4 of them. Bedtime battles, potty party. Oh, jeez, I always forget. Yeah, potty party something. I don't know. Bedtime battles, potty party, tantrums, and then toddlers who hit. I got to try and figure that out so I can spit it out better. Anyway, or else you can look at my boot camp course. It goes from 3 to 12 years old. It's all about you. It goes for 5 weeks. It's all about you. Remember, leadership is about you, not your children. It's not about their behavior. It's about your leadership. You lead, they will follow. Stop reacting to your kids. You want them to react to you. That's what leadership's all about. Okay. Or you can look into coaching. You can check into coaching, and there is a wait list for that if you're interested. It's just I'm so busy these days. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. And the summer's a really good time to do that boot camp course, by the way. You got more time with your kids, okay? Anyway, thanks so much for joining me, and take care. Bye now.